Welcome, everybody, to Tino's Time. And on this episode, instead of talking about fantasy football like we've been doing the last 18 weeks, it is time now to talk about something a little bit different. And it's time for the NFL playoffs. Playoffs! Yeah, I said that. It's time for the NFL Super Wildcard Weekend. After 18 weeks, an extra week, so many COVID injuries, so many things going on in the NFL. Antonio Brown running off the field, John Gruden being fired, teams going up and down, teams blowing it, the Colts losing a game to a 2-13 Jaguar team that wasn't even making the playoffs, and now the Colts are sitting at home and the Steelers got involved. The week 18 of the NFL football season was wild, and Super Wild Card Weekend is going to be even wilder. So let's not waste any more time and let's get into the headlines and let's start previewing all the games that are going to go down in Super Wild Card Weekend. But first, let's go in to all the headlines. Black Monday hit hard for a lot of teams. We saw Vic Fangio from the Denver Broncos get fired. We finally saw the Chicago Bears clean house and get rid of Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. The Vikings also cleaned house. They fired Mike Zimmer and their general manager. This one was a big shocker. The Miami Dolphins, after Brian Flores took them to a 10-win season and a 9-win season this season, and after starting off 1-7 and winning 8 out of 9, the Miami Dolphins decided to fire Brian Flores, and now the Dolphins are looking for another team. Two other teams that fired their coaches throughout the season was the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm sorry, I almost said Oakland. I caught myself there. The Las Vegas Raiders, they fired John Gruden a while ago, and because of that, they went in to a win or go home game on Sunday, and they made an amazing run at the end of the season, and now they're sitting in the 6th seed, and they're going up against the Bengals in Wild Card Weekend. They are the first team in a while to make the playoffs after firing their coach midway through the season. The Jacksonville Jaguars, after upsetting the Colts and knocking them out of the playoffs, the Jaguars clinched the number 1 pick again. Trevor Lawrence played phenomenal, but the Jaguars showed on Sunday versus the Colts that next year, maybe this game is a game that they could really look forward to, and the Jaguars might be a team that everybody needs to look out for next year. Black Monday was wild, and it's going to be real interesting to see who all these teams hire as the new coach and their new general manager. But now, it's Super Wild Card Weekend, baby. We have 6 games. We have 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and 1 on Monday night. Yeah, I said that. For the first time, we have a Monday night playoff game. And if you want, you could listen to the Manning cast. And maybe one of the active players that are on the bye week won't go on the show, because if you didn't see, all the active players that went on the Manning cast this season ended up losing the following week. So I don't see any active player going on that is playing in the divisional round going on Monday Night Football. But now that we talked about it, let's start previewing all these games. And let's go into Saturday, because if you have not seen, the schedule has already been released for the NFL playoffs, and they start on Saturday. The first game is the I keep saying it. It's the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm sorry. I keep saying Oakland for some reason. It's the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Cincinnati Bengals. And if you've listened to my fantasy shows, the Bengals the last 3 weeks have been playing Madden. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow. They're all just playing Madden, and they're putting on a show. And this Raiders team played really good on Sunday night. They barely won the game versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I don't know why I keep going back to the old teams. I don't know. I almost said the San Diego Chargers. It's the Los Angeles Chargers. But the Vegas Raiders beat the Los Angeles Chargers to move on. And it's funny because they talked about it. If the Chargers would have just called it, if they would not have called that timeout at the end of the game, the Raiders were really thinking about tying the game, and both teams wouldn't have made it, and that would have knocked out the Steelers. But because the Raiders went and ran the ball and they kicked that field goal, they knocked out the Chargers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers and Big Ben Roethlisberger gets at least one more game in his NFL career. But with this Raiders and Bengals game, I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals to win. We talked about it a lot in my other shows. The way the Bengals offense is playing is phenomenal. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow. They're just putting on a show everywhere, and I don't see the Raiders being able to stop this offense. So I'm taking the Bengals to move on to the divisional round. The other game on Saturday, it's the other AFC matchup. It's two teams in their division, and they faced each other twice this season, and they're going at it a third time in the Wildcard round. It's the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen versus Mac Jones, Bill Belichick, and the New England Patriots. And I thought we were done with the Patriots in the playoffs after Brady left, and after last season. They didn't have a really great season. They didn't make the playoffs. But the Patriots said, no way. We went out and got Mac Jones, and we're back in the playoffs. And now they get to go up against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. And this is a game that I think can be really good. It's two divisional matchups, and it's one of those things that everybody is probably going to take the Buffalo Bills. But you cannot count out the Patriots. The Patriots are the New England Patriots for a reason. Bill Belichick has all those Super Bowl rings for a reason. He's a great coach, and you've seen what he's done with Mac Jones. But in the end of this game, and I don't know which way it's going to go, but after the dust settles, I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills to come out and move on to the divisional round. I think Josh Allen is just unbelievable this season. Stephon Diggs, Devin Singletary has been a great addition later on in the season. Dawson Knox has really surged this season as a tight end, as we talk about in fantasy, how bad the tight end position is. So I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills to move on and go on to the divisional round. And I don't know how exactly the divisional round will be set up, but I'm just going to tell you my picks and who I think are going to win. And then next week, we'll talk about the matchups and everything like that, because it could go every which way, and there's so many different type of scenarios that the Chiefs could face the Bills, or the Chiefs could face the Patriots, or there's just so many different types of things that I would be here for 3 days, and nobody wants to do that. So I'm going to take the Bills and Bengals to win on Saturday and move on to the divisional round. Now, let's go into the 3 games that are on Sunday. We have 2 NFC matchups, and we have 1 AFC matchup. The first NFC matchup on Sunday is the Philadelphia Eagles after winning the 7th seed. They got knocked down to the 7th seed once the 49ers won. So they're going up against the GOAT, Tom Brady, and Antonio Brown says he can't do it on his own, but he's doing it with guys named Tyler Johnson and Le'Veon Bell and Giovanni Bernard. I think Brady could do it fine by himself. They're going up against Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Devontae Smith, and the Philadelphia Eagles. And Jalen Hurts has been phenomenal. We talked about him all fantasy season. He's been great all year. So Jalen Hurts and the Eagles have a very, very hard matchup. And I think this game will be close, but I just see Brady and the Bucs putting on a show and knocking out the Eagles. And I love that they added an extra team to the playoffs and everything, because it gives more teams opportunities. But I do think that they should add another team maybe down the road, but that's just my opinion. But in this Bucs and Eagles game, I'm going to take Tom Brady and the Bucs to win and move on to the divisional round. And we'll have to see who they face. But I just don't see the Eagles being able to get past Tom Brady, Gronkowski, that defense, and just everything. And, I could be totally wrong. We could see a giant upset, and it could really be Super Wildcard Weekend, where we see all types of crazy upsets like we saw in the last week of the NFL season and throughout the whole fantasy football season. So I'm not going to take the upset with this one, but I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. Now let's talk about a game that you might be shocked, but I'm going to take the upset in this one. It's the Dallas Cowboys versus the 49ers. The 49ers went out and beat the Los Angeles Rams, Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp in Week 18 to get in. Jimmy Garoppolo played great. Deebo Samuel threw a touchdown. He rushed for a touchdown, and he caught about 4 or 5 passes. This guy can do everything. And they still have George Kittle. Eli Mitchell's getting healthier. And it's just one of those things that nothing against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are having a phenomenal season. Dak Prescott putting up numbers. Zeke really did good. CD had a really good season. Amari, he was kind of up and down. Dalton Schultz broke out as a tight end in fantasy, especially next year, people. You need to watch out for him because he had a lot of touchdowns this year, and that's always what we look for in tight ends in fantasy. But in this Cowboys 49ers game, it's going to be a really, really good game. And it's one of those games that I think could be back and forth. But this is the one that I think could be the very well upset of the week this week, and I am going to take the San Francisco 49ers to upset the Dallas Cowboys and move on into the divisional round and knock out them boys, Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott. And I could be wrong and everything, but I just feel like the 49ers are so hot right now that they could really go in to Dallas and beat the Cowboys. So I'm taking the 49ers. Next, let's talk about the one AFC game that is on Sunday night because they have two AFC games on Saturday, one on Sunday, and then the NFC is two on Sunday and one on Monday. And that one on Monday is the Cardinals and Rams. And that's probably going to be the best game of the week. But before we get to that game on Monday night, let's talk about the last game on Sunday. It's Sunday Night Football. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, Najee Harris versus AFC champions, the team that nobody can beat, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill. And when I say nobody can beat them, the Chiefs have been so dominant in the playoffs and everything. And yes, this season has not been what we all thought it was going to be. And we've seen Patrick Mahomes be human. And on the other front, the Pittsburgh Steelers got into the playoffs after the Jaguars upset the Colts. The Steelers went out and won, and Ben Roethlisberger gets another game. You know, after that Monday night game in Heinz Field versus the Browns, I really thought that was the curtain call for Ben Roethlisberger. But the NFL gods said, no way, we want to see Big Ben play one more game. So he gets to go into Kansas City, into Arrowhead, and play the Chiefs on Sunday night. And this game is a game that, you know, we saw them play each other a few weeks ago. The Chiefs dominated. They scored 30-plus points. The Pittsburgh Steelers only scored one touchdown, and it wasn't a really close game. But, excuse me. But I can see this game being a lot closer, and it's just something about the playoffs that makes these teams have a little bit more adrenaline, and I really hope this game doesn't become a blowout because that would just be really disappointing, and that's not what we want to see in the playoffs. We want to see good games. I mean, unless you're a Steelers or a Chiefs fan, you just want to watch them beat the crap out of each other. But for me, because my team is never in the playoffs, I always just want to see good games. But after Sunday night, the dust settles and everything is done in the wild card round for Sunday. I'm taking the Chiefs to win this game. Nothing against Big Ben, and don't get me wrong, people. I would love to see Big Ben win and move on to the divisional round and continue to see his career go week by week. But I just don't see anybody beating Patrick Mahomes. I don't see anybody beating Travis Kelce. And Tyreek Hill is supposed to play, so that's a big boost for that offense. So I'm taking the Chiefs to win and move on to the divisional round. Now, let's talk about the last game in Super Wildcard Weekend. It is the NFC side. It's the Rams versus the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals. Rams and Cardinals, they're two divisional opponents. We have Cooper Kupp on the Rams side and Matthew Stafford. They go and have breakfast every day with each other, and they're like butt buddies. But that just shows how good of a connection that they have. And Cooper Kupp has put up receiving numbers that we haven't seen since Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, and guys that just we've loved growing up watching. And Cooper Kupp is becoming that guy for this kid's generation. And this Rams and Cardinals game is probably going to be the best game out of all of them because they both match up good on offense. Defense, they both match up. And it's just the game that I feel like will be the best game of the weekend because all the other games will be good. At least hopefully they will be and we don't see a bunch of blowouts. But this is the one game I don't know who's going to win. The other five, I picked my picks and I was guaranteed that who I knew I was going to win. But when I was writing this all out and I was trying to figure out who to pick for this game, I just could not figure it out because I don't know. We could see Matthew Stafford go throw 4 interceptions. We could see Kyler Murray go out and throw 4 interceptions. Or we could see the opposite and it just be a barn burner and fantasy galore and just a complete shootout. And I don't know which way it's going to go. But after Monday Night Football and after Super Wildcard weekend is over, I am going to take the Arizona Cardinals. And you might be shocked. Why are you going to take the Arizona Cardinals to beat the Rams and beat Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp? I just think that Kyler Murray, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think DeAndre Hopkins might be possible and may be able to return for this game, but I'm not sure. And if they do, that's a big boost. James Conner has been a phenomenal late guy that just has went off and just completely contributed, and he's a big reason on why the Cardinals are in this position. And because, especially because the Cardinals started off so good and then they fell and they barely made it. And to be honest, people, as good as they started, they should have been the first or second seed, but they fell all the way down to the fifth seed, and that's just not okay for a team that started off 7-0, 7-1. But I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals to beat the Rams and go in and just take it. And the Cardinals are going to move on and they're going to feel real good. So let's recap who I took to win all these games. I'm taking the Bengals over the Raiders. I'm taking the Bills over the Patriots. I'm taking the Buccaneers over the Eagles. 49ers over Cowboys. Chiefs over Steelers. And Cardinals over Rams. Super Wildcard weekend is going to be an absolute blast. As you know, the Green Bay Packers and Tennessee Titans both have a bye, so they get to sit at home and just get to sit their heads back and chill. And Rodgers gets to recover his toe if his toe is still bothering him. But that's good for the Titans and Packers. And if you're a fan of the Packers and Titans, congratulations. Your team is doing phenomenal this season. But for guys like me, because my team suck and the Bears are awful, and just thank God they cleaned house, I just, like I said earlier, I just want to see really good football games. And for fantasy purposes, I don't know if you guys do, but if you listen to this, they do have an NFL Fantasy Football Challenge on NFL.com. It's kind of cool if you want to check it out. You pick a team every week, and then say, for example, if you pick Patrick Mahomes and he moves on, then you get times 2 the points. So say next week you keep Patrick Mahomes, he gets a touchdown, that means he got 2 touchdowns. And then he gets another one, that means he got 3 touchdowns, and just so on and so forth. But it's just something to check out if you really want to do fantasy, and fantasy is your life like it is mine. But these wildcard games are going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait to see who wins and who survives Super Wildcard weekend. It is going to be absolute a banger. And, before I go, I want to give you some bold predictions. And my first bold prediction is that we are going to see Cooper Kupp continue to put on a show on Saturday. Or I'm sorry, on Monday Night Football. I don't know why I said Saturday. On Monday Night Football. And even though I took the Cardinals to win, I think Cooper Kupp could surpass 150 yards passing. And if this game becomes a shootout, I could see it becoming very possible. So, there you have it, people. I've given you all my predictions for Super Wildcard weekend. I've given you one bold prediction that I think that could possibly happen. Another one is maybe the Steelers can beat the Chiefs. Maybe. That would be a shocker. And my mouth would drop next week when we record the divisional round preview. But I don't know if that's going to happen. And like I said earlier, the Chiefs are just so good. But until the dust settles of Wild Card weekend and we have the matchups for the divisional round and we're down to the final 8 in the football season, I hope everybody enjoys it. I hope everybody had a fun fantasy football season. I hope everybody's enjoying their time. Honestly, I'm kind of happy the season's over because it's one of those things that it took a lot out of me this season. But I hope everybody enjoys these games, and if your team's in it, good luck. Don't forget to go smash that like button. Go subscribe, go follow at TinoTime1996 on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, everywhere you listen to your podcast, everywhere you have social media. Go support your boy Tino and help your boy Tino out because he ain't stopping until he gets to the top, and he's going to be there one day. So, until next week, when we recap Super Wildcard weekend and we preview the final 8 and the divisional round, the NFL fantasy, or not the NFL fantasy, the NFL playoffs, I hope everybody has a safe and good week. And until next week, this is your boy Tino signing out.